What is up, YouTube? Welcome to PanFro Games, and here we are breaking down the best counters that you should build to defeat the 7-star Tera Normal Rillaboom raid for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that is coming next week. And of course, guys, if you like this type of content, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it. Consider joining the Pan Fam today by hitting that join channel member button below. I really appreciate it. So let's dive in and break down the Rillaboom. So we know we're getting a 7-star Tera Normal Rillaboom. It's going to have his hidden ability, which is going to be a Grassy Surge. And this is going to set up grassy terrain on the field. So everyone who is on the ground, so pretty much if you're not a flying type or don't have Levitate, you'll be getting 1/16 of your HP back, essentially like a free leftovers on the field. However, it will essentially double the damage of grass type moves. So Rillaboom will be doing a lot of big damage to us with his grass type moves. So it's gonna be very important to definitely not be weak to grass here. And you're gonna have to watch out for something like Wood Hammer, because that's gonna be absolutely brutal. The other part of this is this terrain will also reduce the damage of particular ground type moves like Earthquake. So don't use like something like Earthquake. However, something like Stomping Tantrum is not affected by grassy terrain, so keep that in mind. So looking at the base stats of Rillaboom, it's pretty big. Base 100s are always nice on the HP side, so it's nice and bulky. 125 attack is massive, so we can assume it's going to be a physical attacker. It's going to hit us really hard. It's going to have stab grass and stab normal moves, and it has a really good move pool to back up those different stabs right there. Then 100 HP with 90 defense makes this thing a physical beast. And we're going to have to try to break down through the physical side, because I'll say this. It is really hard to hit a normal type on the special defensive side, because fighting type Pokemon are mostly going to be physical, and there's not a lot of good special fighting type moves or Pokemon that can really utilize those in general. It has 60 special attack, which is really pathetic. We don't have to worry about that for the most part in this raid. Not really concerned, even though it will be Tera boosted any of the normal type moves that come from that special attacking stat. 70 Spadef of 100 HP is decent. Obviously not as strong as the defense side, but it's something we can try to exploit in certain methods. And then the speed is 85, which makes it pretty decently fast. It's not slow, it's not too fast. A lot of things will be outspeeding it, especially a lot of legendaries. Now, I broke down the move pool in the previous video, but pretty much my hypothesis on the conclusion of this move set is going to be we're going to have one physical grass type move, which I think is going to be Wood Hammer, or a signature move, Drum Beating. I think it's going to have a fighting type move, either Hammer Arm or Brick Break. It could have a dark type move called Knockoff. It's pretty much the only dark type move it could have. It has a lot of ground type moves in general, but the best ground type move that isn't affected by Grassy Surge is going to be Stomping Tantrum. And I think Acrobatics is going to be an absolute lock-in. Acrobatics is the only move that Rillaboom has that can deal super effective damage to fighting type Pokemon. So Acrobatics is an absolute lock. It's going to do double damage because it doesn't have an item either. So this is going to be a base 110 flying type attack coming out from Rillaboom. So this is going to be absolutely terrifying. And then there's going to have a normal type move. It could have Body Slam, Facade. It could also have a Strength in here as well. So there's a lot of different options for the physical side, but I think the hard locks for me personally, grass type move, normal type move, fighting type move, and acrobatics, and then like probably Stomping Tantrum too, because there's a couple of Pokemon that can actually outplay with that. Now, the one special move it could have would be Boom Burst, because it is the music type Pokemon. It's a drum Pokemon. Boom Burst is a base 140 special normal type attack, and it is Tera Normal. Makes a lot of sense. I could actually see this being the only normal type move on the move set, which I would replace Facade and Body Slam with. So be careful of that. But I still think base 60 is not gonna be that scary, even with Tera boosted and base 140. I don't think it's gonna be too scary, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Now, the setup moves, I can really see Bulk Up and Swords Dance being the main two, and probably more of Bulk Up to further boost that defense, which is honestly the worst case for us. Swords Dance, yeah, it'll hit harder, but I think it's going to be harder for us if it starts setting up Bulk Ups, because then it'll be harder for us to actually break through it, defeat it quickly. Leech Seed, it is a grass type Pokemon normally. I could see it using Leech Seed, recovering HP from Leech Seed, recovering HP from the grassy terrain. It could have a lot of HP regen going on. And I can also see it reset up grassy terrain with grassy terrain. Because after 5 turns, the Grassy Surge will be gone. So I'll have to reset it up with grassy terrain. So I think that's where we're going to be at with the setup moves. Now, for these next builds, I wanted to make it more streamlined, so I put it down to like 6 builds this time, just to make it so it's more clear and concise. Let's begin with our solo builds, and for the Pokemon Scarlet players, we have Koraidon out here with the Tera Fighting and the Shell Bell. Now, Koraidon's actually going to be really phenomenal for this raid because Orichalcum Pulse is going to boost your attack stat as long as the Harsh Sunlight is out, which is going to be really nice. So you get an additional attack boost there. We're going to be going max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature to maximize our attack stat damage. And we have phenomenal moves. Swords Dance will give us an attack by +2. Collision Course is our signature move. This is going to be stab and super effective against the Rillaboom. Also get the Orichalcum attack boost. But because this move is going to be super effective, it's going to an additional multiplier of 1.33 to the damage. So Collision Course is going to actually do more damage than something like a close combat would. And it doesn't actually hurt us, doesn't lower our stats. So Collision Course is going to be our main damage dealing move here. We have Screech, which is going to be great as well. You could probably run this raid with 4 Koraidons, and you can just like Screech all on turn 1, get that -6 on it, and then maybe all on turn 2, hit that Swords Dance, and after that, you can all just spam Collision Course and just win that way. And then we have Drain Punch here to give yourself that additional HP regen. Drain Punch and Shell Bell regen do stack, so just keep that in mind. But Koraidon's going to be really good here. Your only big fear is the acrobatics coming from the Rillaboom. That's probably the only scary thing that comes at you, but otherwise, you have great HP and great defensive bulk in general, so Koraidon should be a phenomenal pick for this raid. Now, for Violet players, you have Iron Hands. Now, Iron Hands is not as good as Koraidon, and I would recommend making this a Tera Fighting, not Tera Electric. I have not changed mine yet for the video. And the item Metronome is going to be really good here because we're going to be spamming a lot of Drain Punch, but you could also go for Shell Bell if you would like, or Booster Energy. You got a couple of the options on this Pokemon. We're going max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature. A Quark Drive is not going to really matter here because no one's going to really set up Electric Terrain for you. Someone could set up Electric Terrain. Like, you could potentially have Electric Terrain on Iron Hands to negate the Grassy Terrain from the Rillaboom. So that could be really helpful. But for the general moveset here, you could try to do a turn 1 Belly Drum and then try to heal back up on the next turn of your Drain Punch. The big question is, will Rillaboom destroy you in 2 attacking moves? If it does have Stomping Tantrum, probably yes. If it has Wood Hammer, probably yes. So you may want to switch Belly Drum out for something like Swords Dance. Swords Dance could be better for Iron Hands than Belly Drum for this raid, just for general consistency. But if you are doing an online raid with 4 people and have a strategy, then Belly Drum may be the better choice. Close combat's gonna be our big damaging move, but I would not use close combat until you're like trying to finish with it. In general, you just want to be hitting that Drain Punch. This last move doesn't really matter. I would probably remove Focus Energy, and like I said, maybe put Swords Dance here. That's a good option, honestly, instead of Belly Drum, just because, you know, if you're online and you have like just Belly Drum, you may just be a detriment, and just, you know, a lot of people won't like that. Now, Galarian Zapdos is actually my favorite Pokemon for this raid. I think this is going to be the best Pokemon for a solo, potentially, and we're going to be using Shell Bell, and we're going to have Tera-type Fighting. Once again, max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature, and we have the ability to Defiant. There is a chance the Rillaboom could have a move called Drum Beating. Drum Beating has a chance of lowering our speed stat. So if it lowers our speed stat, we get a Defiant boost for +2 attack. So that could be really helpful. I wouldn't count on it, and this build works perfectly fine without Defiant proccing at all. And the main move is Thunderous Kick is our signature move as Galarian Zapdos. It's a 90 physical fighting type attack. It always lowers the opponent's defense. So essentially, you can just use Thunderous Kick a bunch of times, and you'll eventually win. The only downside of Thunderous Kick is you only have 10 of these, so maybe it might be better on turn 1 to maybe set up a bulk up to increase your attack and defense, which is going to be really good. You have Close Combat as a finishing move in general, so maybe after like 6 Thunderous Kicks, you can go for like a Terrifying Close Combat to try to do like the biggest piece of damage you could probably do to this Rillaboom. Focus Energy, they don't really have a good last move, so Focus Energy maybe get a critical hit, and crits will always be wonderful, but Galarian Zapdos may actually be the best solo Pokemon for this raid. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal, so if you do have one from Sword and Shield, definitely recommend bringing it over because this Pokemon is going to be an absolute beast. You want to mention that Zapdos will be able to resist the Grass-type moves, which is going to be really good, and you're also going to be immune to any sort of Ground-type moves coming in, So that's going to be really cool as well. That flying typing is going to be really helpful for this raid. Now, besides Galarian Zapdos, this is going to be my second favorite build for this raid. I think it's going to be phenomenal. We're going to be using Zamazenta, another Sword and Shield Pokemon, and Rusted Shield is going to be our item here. So Rusted Shield is going to make it so we go into our Crowned form. And Crowned form means one, we get a massive stat boost. It's going to be huge. And we get +1 to defense on turn 1. And we're going to get the Steel typing. Now, Steel typing is going to be really nice for this raid because it's going to allow us to resist the normal and the grass type moves. Yes, we'll be weak to any potential fighting and any potential ground type moves, but I think it's more important to resist the moves that the Rillaboom will have stab on, and we're going to have so much defense that it's not going to really matter. This is going to be another great solo build. We're going to go max HP, max defense with an impish nature. This is very, very, very important because we're going to be using body press. So the higher our defense stat, the more damage body press uses. Your attack stat does not matter. This is going to be a stab, super effective attack with body press. We have a massive defense stat already naturally with Zamazenta, and we're going to start the fight at +1 because of our item, the shield. And then we can further boost our defense by using Reflect. Yes, Reflect does count for boosting body press damage. I literally looked it up. And we're going to be setting up with Iron Defense. So think of Iron Defense as Swords Dance that will increase our damage. It will be that increase our attack and our defense. It's like super bulk up in this case, right? Because he still gets the defense boost. But like after turn 1, we use Iron Defense. We're +3 now because we already had the +1 to beginning the fight. We're going to take those hits even better. And then we can just use Body Press the next turn and do massive damage. Now, the only downside of this Pokemon is we don't have any initial, like any innate recovery. So if we want to recover, we're going to have to use Healing Cheers. But, I mean, if you're +6 defense and against a physical attacker, the only thing you have to worry about is a crit. And if it's a crit normal type or grass type move, you already resist it. So this is going to be a phenomenal Pokemon. I think it's going to be slower than Galarian Zapdos for this solo, but I think it's going to be safer overall because you just have so much general bulk. And if you are playing online, you could use Helping Hand to assist a teammate. You could put Howl here as well. You can put Close Combat. Doesn't really matter because the only 3 moves you're going to be using for the most part is these 3 right here. And before we move to special attackers, I want to say do not use Annihilate. Annihilate's going to be terrible for this raid. Rage Fist does not work. The only reason why Annihilate is even used in these raids is for Rage Fist. It's a normal type Pokemon for Rillaboom, meaning Rage Fist will not work. Rage Fist will not hit the Rillaboom as it is immune to ghost type moves. Do not use Annihilate. All these other fighting type Pokemon I brought here are way better than Annihilate in just the raw physical aspect of being a fighting type Pokemon. Now for special attackers, and I should be special attacker because we only have one. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good fighting type special attackers in general. The only other options is really Iron Valiant, which has terrible defensive and will absolutely die, and Lucario, which has pretty bad defenses as well. Also weak to ground, weak to fighting, which Rillaboom will probably have one or the other. So Arceus is the only good special attacker for this raid. We're going to do Tera Fighting with Fist Plate, of course, to get that fighting type. That's going to give us a 1.2 boost to damage here. I think Arceus is going to be pretty amazing, though. Max HP, max special attack, modest nature. And we have Judgment, which is going to be a stab, super effective, fist boosted attack onto the Rillaboom. And we also have Acid Spray. So if you have a crew of Arceus, you could probably get this down in maybe 2 turns, potentially. Honestly, Arceus just hit that -6 with the Acid Spray on turn 1. And then turn 2, you can get an attack cheer off and maybe have like a Helping Hand or something go off on another one. And, potential 2-turn KO here. But in general, Calm Mind with Judgment is going to be great for a solo. Acid Spray is going to lower, and then you can just use Recovery instead of having to cheer. And I think Arceus is going to be a pretty solid solo overall. You have base 120 in all your stats, so you have really good bulk to handle this raid in general. Now, I'm only recommending one supporter for this raid, and this is going to be Corviknight. And the big reason why I recommend Corviknight is because, one, Corviknight is going to quad resist grass type moves, resist the normal type moves, be immune to any ground type moves, be able to neutrally take any fighting type moves. And I guess if it has a dark type 2 move, sure, it's going to be neutral. But Corviknight, phenomenal on the defensive side. We're going to use Light Clay because we're going to be massively a support Pokemon. We're gonna go max HP, max defense with a plus defense nature and minus special attack, which is impish. Mirror armor, just in case, you know, maybe the Rillaboom lowers our stats with like a drum beating, it lowers its speed, so that could be helpful potentially. But it's not, it doesn't really matter what your ability here is for Corviknight. The important thing is you're going to set up Reflect on turn 1, help out your whole team. And you have both fake tiers to help the special attackers. So if you're helping out Arceus, you can help out Arceus with fake tiers. And you want to help out physical attackers like Koraidon or Galarian Zapdos, you can use Screech, and this will be phenomenal. So Corviknight can help out the best of both worlds. So if you're helping out physical attackers, then I would remove fake tiers and put a different move here. I would put Iron Defense. And if you're helping out special attackers, then keep fake tiers, remove Screech, and then remove Screech for Iron Defense. Our attacking move is going to be Body Press because we have a massive defense stat, and Reflect's going to boost that. Iron Defense will boost that, and then we can do super effective Body Press damage. I have the Tera Fighting just in case you want to run this as a solo, because then you can Body Press Tera Fighting boost to get through the shield, and they're going to do a lot of damage. So those are the builds for this raid. I think this raid is going to be relatively easy. I think the solos are going to be super easy. Like I said, if you want to really solo this, I do think the Zamazenta and Zapdos are probably going to be the 2 best overall. But I think a couple of these others can solo. I just don't know how well until we actually do it. But stay tuned to the channel for more raid guides for this Rillaboom. I want to try to make some 1-hit or 2-hit KO videos for this Pokemon, some other stuff, and in-depth solo videos as well. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Really appreciate it. Okay, guys, next time. Peace out, and have a good one.